Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Hi, everyone. So today me and Nadia are here also deciding on what to touch upon.
Today is no plan. Today is
No,
just jump in the water, in the cold water. A lot has been going on for both of us in the past week. It's almost an overload of possible topics to talk about rather than the opposite. So where are we going to start?
with the ocean, I feel. And I'm going to explain. The thing is, um, the last couple of weeks I've been really working on my shadow, and it was exactly what I was talking with Nadia, how I'm accessing like deeper layers, even like with my work, with the shadow and the being able to access feelings and emotions. How I I feel like the I'm able to strip more layers of being, and to really, when I allow myself to fully trust in the present, that I am able to feel that pain so deeply and not collapse. It's where I get also a lot of resolution with my past and with my present, and also resolve with the future. And it's, at least in my process, everything is happening through the present moment, through the connectedness to the present moment. um I don't know if you have anything to say about this.
uh, yeah, well, um, of course, it's always about living in the moment. But the essence is when what I've actually said before when we talked, is this addiction, this need to go into this euphoria, to being pulled out of your body, to go into the illusion, the euphoria, this tendency which I've noticed in people in general, which has also happened to you last week again. It's like this, you go into this addiction of humanity, to go into this over excitement, in this euphoria, to have the adrenaline kick, and to get this excitement. And when we have a flat line of what, like in the middle, if you go into this euphoria like this, necessarily you will have to go all the way down. For some people, it's maybe more like this, but for some people, it's like spiking like that. And one of my teachers once said to me, like pointed out to me, that this was part of my problem, part of what makes my life in the down, because we're not complaining about this, we're complaining about that. And it's easier to regulate our uppers than to regulate our downers. So if we go into this, when we feel how we go too high and too excited and too euphoric, it's important that we take that down a bit and we try to calm, we try to go more grounded, because otherwise we have to, it's like a law of nature. We will go into this down, we will go into this depression, we will go this depletion. So it really is about in the moment, in the middle, and in alignment. That's what it is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel. You didn't say that, but that's what I feel you meant to say.
Oh yes, no, actually, yes. Let's dive into that, because this is something that I'm working with at the moment. It's already in my conscious field of knowing that I carry this hedonistic trap, and I've always kind of knew that, but I prefer to ignore, because it's good to ignore what we don't really want to change, or we are not committed to change. I feel it actually was a decision. I knew I was a bit hedonistic. I was overly attached to um, positive states of consciousness, like happy states, joy, bliss, I really had this thing with excitement and euphoria, like even some of my um, doctor friends, they would even no, and even the doctors in the profession, they would most likely misdiagnose me with bipolar disorder. And it was, I don't have any bipolar disorder for any stretch of imagination. What I do have is a big um, problem, or lack of I still did not figure out um, how to balance those big spikes of euphoria
Regulate
and
them.
regulate them. Yes, and I feel actually the conventional medicine is failing big time in that regulation, by prescribing pills and misdiagnosing people. I could have been one of those. I could have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I could have been diagnosed also with also another disorder, multiple personalities kind of thing. And this actually is a trauma. It's a fragmentation of self due to a past trauma. Yet, because the modern medicine does not really see um, holistically, that the person, the individual that sits in front of a doctor, like cannot be subsumed to like rules and patterns and only scientific laws. It cannot. There's individuality behind it. There's a story behind it. There's heritage in the bones. There's energetics at play, and all of these um, play into the equation. When we see someone acting out a disorder, acting out as a bipolar, not always that person, not always that symptom is 100% associated with the genetic or with a ailment. Sometimes that can be a coping mechanism of that person, and it's just a matter of actually empowering that human being to go through their own path of regulating the nervous system, developing healthy coping mechanisms, understanding the trauma, and also guiding that human being to know that it's safe to feel. And usually the body knows when it's the right time to access those feelings that got trapped in the body from this life or other lives. But I'm very happy that you really touched upon that point, because going back to the hedonistic trap, I also feel that collectively this is one of the collective shadows. A lot of people, they don't want to feel negative states. They don't want to go through that wave of really pain, suffering, even like the discomfort. When we know, like sometimes it's not even pain. Sometimes it's just recognizing that, well, I am in the discomfort, the discomfort that I need in order to empower myself to actually get to the next level. You cannot grow in comfort. So even like all these negative emotions and negative states of consciousness, and even negative feelings that society deems as problematic, because once we feel like this, I don't know, like there's even a term for it, like Sunday blues, or like, like this moodiness. It's almost like you have a problem. You cannot be like that. One of the things that I most appreciate about Nadia is that every time I ask her, like, how are you feeling? And she always responds with such a honesty. And I inquire, because I want to know what's up with her, what's her story, what's her present mood, what's the weather of her body, as one of my teachers says. And I want to know, because I'm not expecting that she's always bright and shining like the sun. You know, the weather of the universe is also ever fluctuating and ever changing.
I think
And
you're touching on three different things in one go. There's the one thing that the nervous system, to have like a balance in your nervous system, it meets in the middle. So there's such an addiction to it's an addiction. Any addiction is actually an inner emptiness, and it's trauma based. Any addiction, an addiction for highs, you know, an adrenal addiction, excitement, that's also a form of addiction, which you do either with substances, or racing a car, like fast speed, or like any kind of this funfair business, or bungee jumping, all these crazy things to push your adrenal, gambling, all sorts of things. When you do that, when you tap so much into this thing, it comes at a cost. You will fall down again, and the baseline is that you have an inner emptiness. So that's the one thing. The other thing is, in society also, that's like, it's two things, but it plays together, is we do not like to engage with people who are in this baseline they consider boring, and the ones under the baseline they're considered as, you know, negative. Like, who wants to be around somebody who is going through a depressive patch, or is going through a downer? Then there's different ways of coping mechanisms. Again, it's this society approved label of when you are above that level, and there's just moments in life, also events that happen from outside, which don't exactly enhance your happiness in that very moment. Then there is this thing of, like, when you go up too much, it automatically goes down. And there's the third thing, which is also, to ascend you need to descend. But there's three different things, I feel, in one go, because there's also, like, even if you're in a stable line, when you want to go deeper, when you want to actually heal parts of yourself, you need to consciously take a plunge down to be able to heal that, bring it up, and then rise again. But it's this addiction to just up here, and you never do the work that it actually takes, because that baseline can also rise. But it's a harmony. It's like a lake. It's like a subtleness. It's a stigma around it. People who are very balanced, they are not exciting because they're not excited, you know. So if you're dealing with the inner emptiness, you search for people who fill that emptiness. And the Zen person who sits there and is fully centered is not going to fill anybody else's emptiness. It's not interesting for the energy vampires. Like, because what you actually do, like, we all of us had maybe phases, or it's not, I mean, there are certain permanent full-time energy vampires, but we all have phases where we tap into that because we feel fully drained. So we, you know, we try to get it somewhere else. And that an energy vampire person in that moment does not want somebody who is just, they want this excitement and they want to suck from it. So it is this what is expected in society, which is very, very depleting. And I cannot conform to that when I'm going through a deep process, when I'm really working on myself to not go into this, like to get more into the stability, and when I'm just being myself, I'm talking about myself now, but it's just for each and every person. I'm not going to be so exciting for other people because I'm not gonna fulfill a role in their lives. I'm not going to be that exciting person they can suck energy from. I'm not going to be this sunshine that people are going to suck upon, you know. It's like, so it's not yeah, it is not considered, it's not desirable.
Mm. Yeah, it's curious. You're touching upon that, and for the longest time, I felt that playing in my life, because I really tend to be very in the excitement, and I think when we were in India, you contacted directly with that. Like I really tended to be like overly excited with things. And I remember vividly one episode that we were both at my house downstairs with our landlord Nitin, and I was having like this idea of like building a sanctuary in Portugal, in Alentejo, and we were starting to go through, you remember this, the all the synchronicities of that vision that I was tapping into. And I recall, like to this day, like you were like, no, 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 I'm starting to be overly excited. I cannot go there. Like, let me actually ground myself. And I remember thinking like, why? This is so cool. Like we're like all of these things is happening. And I even think when I get very excited, like my eyes, like they pop, like they are a bit
Very expressive.
very expressive
And
way.
very inviting. It's very beautiful to join your wave of excitement because you're very catching in that. Yet I knew that because I was overstimulated, because it was something that really stimulates me. So that really got me all hyped up. So now I think I'm having an Indian moment.
Ah, yes, and I will, yeah, and I will actually continue because what I've realized in my life was that I tend to have these waves of excitement, these peaks of excitement, and then when I go into these peaks, I'm very alluring to other people, exactly because I I I really see life in a through like kind of like pink glasses, like an optimistic bubble, and I can create those bubbles of excitement effortlessly. It's not something that I do consciously, but then not only do I create those bubbles, that those like it's like a unicorn bubble, full of fantasy, full of illusion, and then I'm able to bring other people along to that bubble of fantasy and of vision and part illusion. There's part vision and part illusion, because with everything really in life, there's a part of the dream, the connection to the dream, and there's a reality, and that it's about bridging the vision and the reality. And so when I create those bubbles of excitement, and I have this ability to anchor people in my bubbles, I really did not understand how that started to be like the base of my relationships with friends, how they were expecting that from me 24/7. And a lot of times I was even giving away energy for free. Now that I'm going through my own process and I'm really recoiling myself, I'm allowing myself to be in a phase of life where I'm very discerning with the type of engagements that I have. It's not that I am ruling out, casting out people out of my life, but I
Ah,
know,
no?
no, I cannot do that. I mean, maybe.
I want to touch upon that later. I like you. Look at your reaction. Let's touch
Yeah.
upon that. Yes. I caught you off guard.
This is important actually. I
Very
love.
important. Libra no go.
Yeah, no.
Look at your face.
Yes, yes, I'm red.
Very flustered.
I love that, Nadia, because and I love that we are recording this because it's important for people to see what is the basis of mirror work. Nadia, she knows me. She knows when I'm bullshitting myself. She knows when I'm entering in a toxic trait, a toxic Libra trait. And this was clearly one of those moments. You see how she caught me in the act. And this is something that I really have to honor in our relationship, in our bond. It's that like she's so fierce in her fire, like to say, look, like, what are you talking about? What are you saying?
What is she talking
No, it's when it's yeah, I'm ruling out. I'm being more discerning because exactly of the constriction. I'm very aware. I'm going through my Saturn return and I'm feeling the energy of Saturn. And to me, I don't see Saturn as a maleficent planet. I see that Saturn comes with a discernment, with the lesson of discernment, of maturity, of responsibility, and of a person to contact with their own limitations, being time, energy, resources. And so, yes, I'm fully devoted to my spiritual journey and I am
And
ruling
what
out
about that, what we spoke about before?
the bubbles of which one? The
That you're
excitement.
not casting anybody out of your life?
I'm casting all the vampires, the energetic vampires. Yes, yes, and this is another thing. Like I'm entering into this, yes, not compromising myself. Thank you,
Did you
Anna,
like
for
when you go into this like theory realms when it's actually about the you
no,
feel how much you want to avoid that. You feel you're honoring me for pointing it out, and then you find that line of where you can explain it why it's coming up. Where are we here? I'm still got my finger there. I'm still doing acupressure there. You're not going to cast anybody out of your life? Because
no,
personally, I feel I need to actually in my life.
we are touching upon another like this conversation. They still blew me away because we are pointing to another realization I got yesterday in my group call.
Well, it's not casting all out. It's a hard call. It's more like you still in resonance, you know.
I'm cutting the cords with all the people that are no longer in resonance with me.
Yeah,
I'm not.
it's
I'm no
not
longer.
like casting out. I feel that sounds very brutal because yeah, it's actually not one-sided, isn't it? The weird thing is that some people are just very invested in a certain side of you, and even if so you change, they go into criticism, but they want you back in that place, but they're not ready to let go, even though it doesn't serve them either. It's not even saying it from a superior inferior thing. It's just the resonance is not there anymore, and if the resonance is not there, it's not serving any of the parties.
Exactly. But what I experience is, especially if people are not so in touch with their where they're at, they're not so conscious, is or at least I've done that. I've resonated before with people that they tend to make me go through my guilt trips. So what happens is in those courts, and I'm having a lot of those conversations of like, I don't want to entertain gossip. I'm not invested in any people's lives. I'm invested in a one-to-one dynamic. I'm invested in you. I'm not investing in your relationship with all the people that populate your kingdom or queendom.
I like
I'm not,
that. Popular,
you know?
I like that. I like that. No, I
I'm
like
invested.
that terminology. Mm.
And of course, like again, you see, like this is another thing for me with my boundary problem. Then when I start to feel guilty because I'm not corresponding to the image that that person had of me, and I feel I am in fault, I'm not being a good person. And what I realized is how unhealthy this guilt is. I'm not honoring myself, my true self, my integrity. I'm no longer that person. I've evolved. I'm not like that anymore.
And then the positive manipulation that comes with it. When people emphasize the traits they appreciate in you, but you actually have outgrown and have realized that you do not want to be that person. And then when you get the positive manipulation of being praised into loyalty of what they want you to be.
Yes, yes. And then they even say like you change for the worse, like you're cold now, you
That's
feel
negative manipulation, but
at me too, I
you get
think.
more of that. Okay, I get a lot of positive manipulation.
Because you're more compassionate than I am, I feel. You know, you have more your heart more on your sleeve than I am. I think that might be
People
why.
want me in a certain way, and then they praise me for how
Help,
compassionate I am, how helpful I am, and
how
then
generous.
oh yeah, and then yeah, generous, and then they would in a circle of friends, you know, like they would maybe not even address me directly. They would talk to the one opposite, praising how much Nadia, you can call her at 2 o'clock in the morning and she will come and sort out your life. And before that really that puffed me up. It's like I was appreciated for all I'm doing, you know, and now I'm going like, are you trying to prepare myself for another 2 o'clock in the morning call? Are you planning something like, and very often it's like that. It's this people, and it's not even done consciously. It's that this positive manipulation is hooking into the wounds you have. I'm very easily into this compassion thing. So I'm an amazing troubleshooter. So somebody is in distress in this moment, I'm just going in and I sort it out. What I'm not very good at, and I do not like to do, is to keep that up.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't like to, like, if there's like the fire, it's burning, and I run in there, I extinguish the fire, I sort everything out, I tuk until everybody's safe, and I go again. I'm not the one who's going to go the next day and clean up and put the pots back in place and then go in again and check again and check it. And the maintenance is not me. That drains me. So when I'm doing this troubleshooting thing, which is like very, I mean, it's very necessary, and it's really something that I almost do in autopilot. And to a certain degree, I think it's also okay to do that, because that is not even draining me so much. What drains me, that afterwards, it's kind of expected that now check in every day. And I'm not going to do that. And that's where I get a lot of reproach, or the positive manipulation of like, oh, you know, like you're so helpful. I don't know how I'm going to, like, really, I'm on purpose going like this. I'm on purpose doing this mimics. It's not me talking like that. I'm mimicking the people like, oh, you know, like you're so good at what you're doing. And it's like so and that gets me, because that gets me that feeling seen. I have it less. I don't need to be liked so much, but I like to be seen, and I like to help. And I'm compassionate about people's needs. You can really get me with, I've got this helper syndrome, like the wounded healer. And that's where you really get me, you know, and then, oh, how much I helped him, and then you got me. And that's so draining for me, literally leaves me fully depleted. And also what people don't understand about me, if I say to something yes once, it's once. Like, can you help me with that? I'll do it. And I really do it. When I say yes, I mean it. But this yes doesn't mean that I'm going to help you every time that same problem occurs. Somehow in a lot of, I have to make it more clear that that's really something I'm struggling with at the moment, that somehow this once of yes gets taken as a, I'm always going to be there for that, you know. So there's certain things, that's again a troubleshooter. There's certain things where we really did not have the possibility to organize ourselves, where things are like really getting out of hand. And yeah, I would also really like somebody to help me in that situation. And I know that in that moment, geographically, from my skills and from my possibilities, I'm the perfect person to solve that. Which doesn't mean that you can just, whenever something similar happens, you can just expect me to do it again. And as these manipulations, it's like this feeling of, yeah, I'm getting really passionate about it now, because that's really something that I still have the hook. This emergency, oh, I need you. You know, it's like, yes. And then sometimes I'm not triggered by it. And I start to realize that's when it's genuine. Somebody is genuinely having a moment that I genuinely have sometimes, that you really miscalculated, you made a mistake, you missed a connecting flight, or like, or had the parcel like you sent back and stuff. And you just know that it just makes sense that it's me. It's not because I have a helper syndrome. But there's just certain moments where I feel somebody else is not taking their responsibility, is not doing what needs to be done, and they're not owning their part in it, and then I'm not the one who goes and cleans up. And I think it's also a bit of discernment that comes with time, because what I tend to do at the moment is I tend to over push away, because I've been over giving. So I'm also over, sometimes it's balance. It's again balance. It's to find the balance. So I got really excited now.
We have to.
I got really like.
And I love that.
Yeah, because it's not in the middle line. I'm like, I can feel what it does to me. You know, I can feel myself what it does to me. This when people not taking responsibilities for their lives, and it's like really personal. I'm not saying that as a teacher. I'm saying that as Nadja, not as a teacher. And when you're in a teacher role, when you're in a spiritual teacher role, I'm not the one who sorts out your life and comes and wipes your bum, you know. I am the one who will show you the ropes. I cannot be the one who wipes your bum, you know. I can be the one who tells you what it need, how you can structure it differently, how you can do it differently. But in the end of the day, we need to take responsibility for our own lives. I cannot babysit. It's not kindergarten.
Exactly. No, and this goes back to knowing that really art is a school. Like this is this is a big thing. This is the big university. And we all sign up for it. We have different lessons to learn. And sometimes the thing is, I really feel Nadja, she has a very powerful energy. And I remember I was also in the conflicted in that, because when Nadja entered my life, it was if one, like she could wave away her magic energetic wand and solve all my problems. And then right, and then two, you get addicted to that power in you, because especially when you have a dynamic with a person, which is multifaceted. It does not only have one string. Things can get blurry and mixed easily, and it's then hard to understand the boundaries and the limits of each relationship, each cord which bind two souls together. But I recall that energetic, how do you say, emptiness, like this big, when you leave, when you are not invested in emergency help, and then you leave the physical presence and the energetic presence of the other person, the other, like, and this I can say through my experience, the other really feels that emptiness. And then when people are not self-responsible, self-aware, and not devoted to their own journey, then the instinct is to blame you for now taking away that energy cord, and almost like, oh, you're not doing the same, and almost lurk you also through the expectation because this was something that I felt. I don't think I ever acted upon it, but I did feel like this expectation of, why is she not helping me more? She can. And this, like, to Nadja, it's like nothing. Um, but it was toxic in itself, and I can recognize this wholeheartedly. It did not come from an empowered place. It did not come from a healed place. It came from a wounded place. It came from me seeing that someone can fix my life for me and deliver that in a silver platter. And then you also, what I feel it's very important for people to understand is, when there's no saviors in this universe. I mean, you can marry away your problems. You can maybe
You can,
baby
sorry,
away your
marry away your
problems.
problems. I didn't
No,
understand what
you
you said.
can do that.
Marry away your problems. Yes.
Yeah, you can marry away, or like baby away, whatever you want to do to
Baby away.
bypass, to
Mhm.
actually because this is something that I also have within me, this temptation to kind of like, if I can find a quick fix, a highway, why do I have to go through the trouble of like step by step? Like, I even like my thing like goes like, I don't like, the step by step, like steady approach. Why, if I can take the highway, why do I have to go through the national way? And understand that there is an order, there is a time, and there is a presence for everything in life. When you take shortcuts, they will eventually they will
You go around in
get
circles.
back. Yeah, no, they will get back at you sooner or later, and you run back in circles, and usually then the circle gets more and more intense because you were supposed to answer in a different way
Oh, you get the
previous.
lessons, you get just first you get a little nudge, and then you get a little push, and then you get a heavy push, then you get a slap, and you still don't relax, you get like something knocked over your head, and you always go back to the same way. But just something to say about this savior thing, because it's something that I have. I have that, and sometimes I also, it's mine to own that I give people really that feeling that I can save their lives. I can literally, and I probably could, but I can't. Like I could what they want me to do, but it's not going to help them, because you can only, when you do it yourself, you can only help yourself. And you actually take away exactly what you touched upon. You take away a learning curve. You're not doing people a favor. You are not doing people a favor by taking away their lessons. You're not doing people a favor by colluding with the toxicity or their patterns, because like especially when it comes to this manipulation, because there's a manipulation in it. People want to manipulate you into helping them. People want to manipulate you into doing something. So if you answer to that manipulation because of your own wounds, you're taking away a learning curve, because taken away, if that person, that opposite person who is opposite of you, is doing a manipulation with you, and you're not responding to that manipulation, all the energy goes back to that person, and the person has to deal with it. And is actually making a big learning curve, because it cannot just be outsourced, the problem. The person is actually forced to look at her or himself in the mirror. Because when something is projected onto you or outsourced to you in a manipulation, and you just turn the whole thing around and you go like this, then the person sees themselves, and the issue at hand is being thrown back at the person. And only then the person can learn. And only then the person who looks in your eyes and sees in your eyes him or herself can actually, it can be a massive learning curve. And of course, then what happens a lot, some get it and do learn from it. Some first retaliate and then learn from it. And some totally turn against you because you are the one who showed them themselves. You're not doing anything, you just refuse to go into the dynamic. And by refusing to go into the dynamic that is expected from you, And by turning the whole thing around and just showing the person what is actually happening, there can be such anger and there's such retaliation. There can be such a, you're not, you're not playing the game. And that if that person was actually, if that soul was actually going deeper, it could be a major learning curve. I mean, same thing happened to me as well. Like, it's also people who did not, the people in my life who did not play the game that I wanted to play, them to play. They were my biggest, they were my saviors, because they threw me back onto myself, and I had to do it myself. And the things that I did not learn in that moment, when there was a gentle nudge, a gentle showing the mirror, I learned with a big slap.
And yeah, it's no fun to then
No, you can learn it easier, but we want to maintain the system. We don't take hints, no? We only take slaps, or
we don't take the subtle signs. No.
Maybe we did in some areas we don't even remember, but
Yeah,
the biggies, our biggies, we don't.
exactly. And a thing that I have also kind of realized through my own process, because and still it's something that we were briefly touching upon before starting the recording. This thing that I do have of kind of like not giving up, but always trying to find like this grandiose thing, and not really honoring the more humble road, more like less flashy, less glamorous kind of thing. But what I've realized a lot was that all these big lessons that I was trying to avoid and push under the rug, and trying, I there's two things with me, with this tendency that it's a behavioral pattern, but I feel like it comes from two things, to at least from the point I'm seeing now. One was I had an protective childhood, so I had this external masculine, very competent, very I fix you kind of thing, and that put me in like this state that yeah, why do I have to do if someone is going to do it for me? So that is one. And the second one was that then you get used to this, you get used to this question of someone fixing your life for you. And then the second part is like and this is a big one, like I'm very entitled, so I felt like life should be smooth and all about rainbows and butterflies, and when it's not this way, then it's something is off, and it's not about me, it's something about the external world, it's mistreating me. And
How dare they?
how dare they not making it easy on me. And then what I'm coming to realize, to trying to because I'm now at the point that I try to catch myself in those automatic behaviors and patterns. It's still I still get the automatic reactions, so it's a process where I'm retrieving back those lessons, and when it comes into the consciousness, I'm like, oh, I'm doing this again. Let me try to get back to order, to balance. But what I'm realizing, because my energetic barometer, it's getting more accurate and precise, is that when I revert a pattern, and this is a big thing, I think, for people, when I revert a pattern, or when I act like when I learn my lesson, or I'm committed to improve myself, I get life energy back. I get something in return. I know that. I feel that. Sometimes it's not instantaneous, but it's like you get like kind of like a reward. It's funny how it operates.
No, it's not funny. It's
Curious.
logical.
I mean, it's yes, but I've always
When you're
been
in alignment, things go easier.
things go easier. Like what I see is like I do something that I'll go for it.
No. It's I feel that today we're touching on things that can, like, there's always one thing that can touch on another. I just want to say, I don't want to go in this topic on this talk because it's just too much.
Yes.
Things go easier when you're in alignment, when you take an aligned decision. However, there will be challenges where it's testing you, but I do not want to go into that now. All
Yes.
these challenges and the external forces that resonate. I don't want to go into that because it will be too much. However, what you said is true for that. Like when you're stuck in a situation and you always do this repetitive pattern, and then you actually change a pattern, and sometimes it's try and fail, but just by changing something, and then you feel it's like this, and then you feel it's like clicking inside, and then
It's like
it
that.
just moves, no? Because you've done what needed to be done, and you just know you did.
Yeah. And then
After
there's
you've done it,
yes.
you did something different. You approached it differently. You did it differently, and it's something that just clicks into each other, and it moves on.
Yeah. There's usually like this calm or this presence
Yes.
or like exhale.
Mm-hmm. It's like
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's not.
No, it's not. No, no. And so I feel that that is also an incentive, for really people to get on the road, because that there will always be like life. It's like the path is not easy. It's like you're there's some resistance, but it feels so much better. It's like at least for me, there's really not a way for me to conceive to go back, because and there's an important point in this, which is like it's more of a difficult path, but it's more worthwhile. And even like the pains, they are deeper, you feel them harder, yet they carry more meaning. And that to me is like key, because suddenly, like, even when I'm really in pain, I'm accessing deep trauma, and I am having a lot of release moments of sobbing and crying, and feeling like I'm crying for not only for myself but for others. And there's ugliness and beauty in the same moment. It's very hard to describe through words, but when like the wave like of pain and suffering, and like you feel like almost like in your bones, like the injustice, and the you also feel this immense like surge of like over flooding, really like ugliness coming through you, like it's like part you and part others. It's hard to describe, but after all of that is gone, then there's like this power coming from essence, like this centeredness, this I'm ready for the next battle kind of thing. And I've never had that before with anything in my life, never. So it's like the deeper I go, and the more challenges I met, the more like power and force and life I get. It's like I not wanting to go into the rejuvenation, but like it's like I'm growing old, but I'm feeling more alive. You understand?
Yeah.
So
But everything that needs to be like this in the hidden,
mm,
when we put something in our cellar and we put a lid on top, it
mm,
drains our energy. We
mm,
have it out of sight and we think it's out of mind, but it's not. It's there. It's in our system, and it sucks from our energy every single day. When we go into it And we actually do the spring clean. We open up the boxes, we look into it. First, it looks like more mess. It's a dust coming out. You sneeze, it's like just so much more. It's overwhelming. But when you actually tie it up and tidy it up, it needs to be done because those things are there to be dealt with. And yes, when you first take the plunge, it's harder. But after, when you have worked through it, there's a relief coming. There is a settling in of the cells. It's recalibrating your body, and there's one burden less to carry. And then the next box comes, and the next box, and it's you become more courageous. You become more confident in opening those boxes, because the paradox about it, the fear of jumping in there is more painful than the actual jump in there. And it takes so much energy, especially in the beginning of the journey, when you start to realize there are all those hidden boxes in your basement. And then you're like, oh, and you're like, so much fear can develop. I've seen it in many, including myself. And then you don't really want to go and feel it. You just want to go and explore it in the mind. It doesn't work that way. So when you actually feeling wise go into there and you're in it and you feel this deep pain and grief, and it doesn't have maybe even an image, it doesn't have words, it's just an overwhelming sense of pain. But if this pain is real and raw, there's something beautiful in there as well, because it's also alive. We're getting out from the numbness. We start to be live again. We start to live again, because pain is also life. It is alive. It's not dead. Because most of us in this society, in this day, we are dead people walking. So becoming alive again is also painful, but I personally, I choose to rather be in pain than to not feel at all. Especially once you develop more experience and confidence in dealing with this pain, you realize that you can also work through it, and there's this relief. It's like, in my case, it's soft and warm, and it's like kind of melting away. And different things hurt different people more. And sometimes there's just certain pains. I know where to locate them in my body. I know how they feel, but I do not actually maybe always have a story for it. And some pains have a big story about it that we've repressed. Only when we go through that, we actually become lighter, you know? And then it's a choice, yes. And once you have opened 3-4 of those boxes, you also get a bit excited, or you get like, yeah, I can do more. I can do it, and there's no return, because now the thing is, like, you cannot actually relate fully anymore with people who have not done that process. Because you're not talking about the same thing. You need to kind of find a new language now to communicate in. And that is so difficult. And that is like what we touch upon, what we said earlier about, you want to cancel people out of your life or not, you don't want to. No, you actually will, you know. The thing is, when you go on this journey, you will have very few people left that you have now, in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time. And it's not always the people that you think maybe that will stay in your life. It's some very painful separations too, but it's just that you pass, and it's also a way of love, that you let each other go as well, because it doesn't serve your soul. And I have some connections which are very, very old. And with one of my dearest friends, she's like a sister, and she hasn't chosen the path that I choose. But I just know that I've lived many, many lifetimes with her, and I'm getting really emotional. She's so close to me, and she will always be, because it doesn't matter. What life she actually lives. I know she always understands what I'm talking about. She has a depth to her, a depth of understanding and feeling. And she's been there, done it, bought a t-shirt, not in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes. And her daughter, she challenges her. Her daughter is just like, her daughter will challenge her a lot. So she gets it all in her daughter. she will challenge her to actually go there, I feel, when she gets bigger. So it doesn't mean that somebody has to follow the same journey, has to do the same seminars. It's just the authenticity. When you're generally on the same frequency, resonating in the same sphere, and that doesn't always mean that you visit the same courses, chose the same journey as such. It's just those soul groups, you know, it's those soul groups. And having said that, it's also the journey that we have both chosen to walk, to travel. The route that we've chosen to travel is not meant for everybody in this lifetime either. It's not. It's I was under a misconception that it's everybody's journey, and it's not. And we are not all one. Yes, we are affected by each other's actions, but we are not all one. And we are not all meant to travel this in this lifetime. You can also see in the planetary constellations, whatever is in relation to Pluto. You've signed up at school with, oh, I want to heal this in this life. Oh, I want to heal this. I want to heal this. You know, like how many things you want to heal in this lifetime, and you've asked for it and you get it. Some people, they are not, or they have already dealt with it maybe in other lives. They don't need to deal with it now, or some people are not ready yet to deal with it. Some maybe have dealt in other lifetimes. Maybe this is a party lifetime. And some people, I feel the pain when I feel a soul that is my truth, that is supposed to go the journey, to travel the journey, and is not doing it. And I feel the pain of them not following what they're my truth, supposed to follow in this lifetime. That's where I struggle with. But I've come into acceptance that's not everybody's journey, you know. But I feel sometimes souls that I just feel that they're actually meant to travel that route, but they're not. So that is where that's where I feel pain. But it's not meant for everybody in this lifetime.
No, no, it actually, yeah, just wrapping up, I feel this was actually shared in one of the groups I am now in, and they were sharing this scientific study of that actually there's a frequency higher than love, and it's authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity is all.
Yep. So I feel like we can wrap up with this one, like, and I feel like it was also the call that both me and Nadja decided to answer with this PodAlchemy. I feel like we are on a path to slowly, bit by bit, episode by episode, but commit to being our more authentic self and in integrity and alignment as much as we possibly can. So I thank Nadja for spotting me on camera, which that was beautiful. Because I really feel it really shows how human we are. I am in that moment, and still how my brain still operates and still like tries to.
Yes. And we all that, and we also like what we're doing here now also with PodAlchemy is like we also on a healing journey with it.
Oh, yes.
For different reasons. You know, we have layers of self-deception. Okay, that is one thing. But even in the layers that we are actually aware of privately, it is a challenge to show them publicly. Or that's another layer. And then also there is, I have that stronger than you. There's this fear of persecution. There's this fear of persecution. There's this fear that I carry on in my cells of having been persecuted for being who I am. So that's also part of why not lying about things, but I'm keeping quiet about things. But then again, being quiet is a type of untruths, because standing in your truth is not being quiet. But again, you know, choose your battles. So it's something to navigate. But I really feel that we started doing something, and by doing something, you go through so much process. And we encourage, like we actually touched upon that, we really encourage everybody just to show themselves. No?
Yes. Stand in your truth. Your imperfect truth, if it is, but stand as you are. Again, it really circles back to authenticity at the end of the day, and owning who you are in your own journey, not
And getting
compromise.
to know who you are first also.
Oh yes,
But
100%.
there's never, like, even it doesn't stop, does it? But
No.
there's like this thing of who we think we are today is only when we live that what we think is our truth, we can actually discover another layer. If we constantly in theory and just contemplating theoretically, never showing us to anybody, we do not meet many sides of us. We kind of have to set them free, and then we go, oh, okay, that's true, and learn that about ourselves.
100%.
Namaste. Have a lovely week. And we
See-
see you next Sunday.
Yeah.
Namaste.